Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to show you a tutorial how to fix a gap, fill a gap on a scanned object. This is the same object I used. I just recorded another tutorial where I showed how to remove text, clean up all text and add other text and so on. Now I have the same teeth over here, which is a real use case given to me, and the problem with this one was how to actually close this gap over here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use 3D Sketch. My goal is to create a profile that actually sticks to the mesh, not like something big object, but actually there's easy without the need to clean it up later. So I'm going to go to object mode. This is something you don't see a lot being used in other tutorials because it has limited use cases. But for this is a really good use case. I would just say from my own experience, when you switch to object mode, you have to remember to switch back, because often you switch for one reason, then you come back and you see something doesn't work as expected. Like some of the tools are not available, spline is not available in object mode, and the way it draws. So you just have to remember to switch back. But nonetheless, okay, so here how it goes. I take the default line, an object, and I draw a line, but actually at the end it will not be a line. It will be a set of a lot of lines. So I've drawn this, but in reality this is projected onto the mesh. And you will see later this actually becomes a very curved line which has a lot of segments to it. Instead of continuing drawing, this may be difficult when it starts projecting. I found it easier. I'll press escape and just draw this section over here. So at least I get here two wide sections projected, and then I just continue the drawing and close it. This basically gives me this closed shape over here, which is a really twisted shape, but it works. So now you see over here this dot. This is a common thing in tutorials. It will show you something that is in the back, and you think it makes no sense to draw over here, and actually it doesn't make sense, but the reality is you have to just simply rotate the mesh. Now rotating is, you have to use the right mouse key instead of the left as normal, because the left is in drawing. If you want to use the left key, you have to deactivate the drawing, like click on line again to pause the drawing, then the left key will be active. Or do what I just did. You cannot do this in the middle tutorial, but or in real life the way you do it, or just do what I did, you use the right key in the drawing. Okay, so if you're here, I'm going to do the same flow I did before. I draw a single line which projects onto the mesh, press escape, and then draw the second line, and then I close it. Okay, so now I'm going to close this and I'm going to isolate this to inspect this. So as you can see, these are really complex meshes. They are complex because they are twisted in many ways. Look at this. It's a 3D profile actually. Now in some cases this is not usable. In some cases, because it's being projected automatically. Look at these small things. I will show you here in a second or so. I'm going to go to what I need to do now. Here is I actually want to loft this, but loft is not going to work on such a complex mesh unless I convert it into a spline. You may see this in other tutorials as well. Loft requires a spline when you have too many edges. So you have three options: round, object, simplify, resolution. All of them have the option to convert to spline. I'm going to simplify, and I'm going to use convert to spline. Now the default is still 1 to simplify it, but if you see, if I start simplifying, it actually starts intersecting. You see, you have over here where a small edge sticks out. Now I can complete that and leave it like this, and then go to geometry clean to remove the details. I can also go to magic fix to fix if there are some gaps or something. And I've used this in my other tutorial, so I didn't show it over here because I already used it. What I'm doing over here, I'm just simply reducing it to 0. So without simplifying, and all I use this tool, the simplify tool at this point, is just to convert them into a spline, and I could have used round or resolution for the same purpose. Okay, so now once I have these profiles, I need to fill them, and there's only one tool in SelfCAD that can completely fill them, and that's Loft. And the reason is because there are very few tools in any 3D modeling software that can fill a complex twisted geometry. And the twist here, what I mean is, the bridge tool can also gap between two things, although it may have a problem with such complex meshes. But the main issue where they will have a problem is filling this. It will fill it flat, but you want actually, when you go to the settings, you see we have fill first and fill last, and you want this filling to be a 3D fill. And I think most Loft software actually wouldn't allow you to do that. It's really complex to make a 3D fill, but SelfCAD's Loft actually does that perfectly fine. Still, because they are so complex and twisted, it may create manifold issues. So before I move to the next step, I'm going to go to Magic Fix and simply rebuild this. You can see over here, actually, this is quads even. This is a really nice fill on the side and even over here. But you can see it created this kind of bends over here, which may create non-manifold or may not. But I'm just going to do that for extra precaution. You see, this is a really nice fill. So I'm simply gonna use Magic Fix to rebuild it. And now I'm going to take both meshes and simply do stitch and scoop and combine them, union. So now this is the main idea, what you see over here, that because we used this 3D fill and everything, and we drew the profile sticking, hugging the mesh, this is completely filled like without any extra. If you do it any other way, you then need to go to sculpting and clean it up and flatten it and whatever brushes to make it clean. This is such a simple way, much easier than any other approach. Okay, so now I'm going to isolate this. You can see actually the mesh itself. You can see how good it is without the profile. And now I'm just adding cosmetics, just a little coloring to it. So I'm actually going to change the physical material. It may sound strange, it's not a physical, but I want to add this kind of roughness, and I want to add the color to white. If you add white to a basic mesh, it will look strange. So I need to have this metalness, but I don't need it to be so shiny, so I'm going to move it down to 0.2, and I'm also going to turn on smooth shaders just for the visual. So basically that's it. So you can see now this is done, and it's really nicely flat filled this thing, and it's really simple. Now, as I said before, let me just hide this away. In some cases, in some cases you do need to use on these profiles. If you don't manage to get it such a good drawing, you may need to use the Magic Fix and or Geometry Clean will remove inner edges or loose edges. I use it in the other tutorial. Or Magic Fix will actually close gaps. Many times you may have some small gaps if you didn't draw it correctly, and both of them will clean it up without any major changes, and I've shown that in the previous tutorial. Okay, I hope this was helpful, and let me know in the comments if you want me to show anything else. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.